Okay, this is the second part of solving systems with multiplication. In the first part, you saw an example like this, where you multiplied one of the equations to create an opposite number. And the way you set that up, you chose like -4 and 8, so the numbers in front of x. Well, the opposite of a -4 would be a +4, and the opposite of a +8 would be a -8. And then we figured out, okay, what did we need to multiply -4 by to get to -8? Okay, we just need to multiply by 2. What about what we have to multiply 8 by to get to 4? You have to multiply by 1/2. We're like, oh, that's too hard. Let's choose 2. Then we multiplied by 2 and got the opposite in front of x. Today you're going to see an example, and we're going to go over examples like this. So 5x and -2x, and then for y we've got 3y and -2y. So what we would try to do is figure out what number do we have to multiply to 5 to get to a 2, or what number do we have to multiply a -2 by to get to a -5, so the opposites, right? And you'll see that both 5 and -2 would have to be multiplied by some fraction, because 5 is not a factor of 2, and -2 is not a factor of 5. So they're not going to multiply evenly. So for today's examples, it's going to be very easy to figure out what we need to multiply by. We're just going to multiply this bottom equation by the number of the variable we're going to eliminate, in this case x, in the top equation, and then we're going to multiply the top equation by the number of the variable we're eliminating in the bottom equation, so -2. Now, if we multiply -2 to 5, we get -10. And if we multiply 5 to a -2, we also get -10. So this will give us the same exact number. So we've got to just figure out the signs. We need one of these to be positive. Well, we're just going to make this negative a positive. So then when we multiply +2 to a +5, we get a +10. So you're essentially using the numbers in front of one variable and multiplying that number to the other equation. So that's step 1 here. We're going to multiply to create opposites, and the opposites that we're creating in are x. So this example is x. So after we multiply the equations, what we get is a new equation. So 2 times 5 is not 5, it's 10. X. 2 times 3 is a 6, and 2 times 7 is 14. And then the bottom equation becomes -10x, -10y equals -30. And now we've got our opposites. See, we've got a +10, we've got a -10. So we can move on to step 2, which is to add the equation straight down. So if I add straight down, we get one equation, these zero out. These 6 plus -10 is -4y equals 14 plus a -30 is a -16. And now we can go ahead and solve. So that is step 3 today, solve for the variable. And in this case, we're solving for y. So when you eliminate x, you're probably going to solve for y, obviously. And if we're solving for y here, we're going to divide by -4. Divide by -4, y equals +4. Now step 4 is the same as it's always been. We're going to substitute, in this case, y, because that's what we just solved for, and solve for x. Now, we're going to take 4 here, and we're going to choose one of those original equations. Now I'm going to choose the top one, because it's got positive numbers, and we're going to put in that y right here. So this is now 4, and we can multiply these. So the equation, when you insert y is 5x plus 3 times 4 equals 7. We can go ahead and simplify. 3 times 4 is 12 equals 7. Bring that 5x down with the plus. Now we can solve for x inverse. We're going to subtract 12. minus 12, those are 0. 7 minus 12, that's a negative 5. And now we can go ahead and divide as our last step. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1 times x is x. Negative 5 divided by positive 5 is a negative 1. We've got our answer because there's our coordinate point. Make sure you put x first and then y after, just like the alphabet, x, y. So let's go ahead and go over this second example. So here we have 5 and 3. We've got negative 5 and negative 6. Let's go ahead and eliminate x. So we're going to multiply by x again, mainly because it's the easiest one to multiply by because the numbers are smaller. So we'll multiply this by a 5, and we'll multiply this by a 3. So we've got a 15 here, we've got a 15 here. We need opposites, so we got to make one of these negatives. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to make this bottom one negative. That way we've got the opposites. So after you multiply through, you get 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times negative 5 is negative 15, and 3 times 15 for the ballers is 45. Negative 5 times 3 is a negative 15. There's our opposites. Negative times negative positive. 5 times 6, 30. And negative times positive negative. 5 times 3, 15. Negative 15. So we've got our equations now with our opposites. We multiply to create them. Now we can go ahead and add straight down. I'm going to underline the opposites for those who doesn't see them. So step 1, we multiplied our x. Step 2, we're going to add down. Here we get 15 plus negative 15 is 0. Negative 15 times, or plus 30 is a positive, it's a positive 15, y. And we've got 45 plus negative 15 is a positive 30. So we've got 15, y equals 30. So step 3 is to solve y, because that's the variable that's left over. So we multiplied x, now we're solving for y. Here we're going to divide by 15. Divide by 15, y equals 15 goes into 30 twice, so y equals 2. And now we're going to move into this fourth step, which is to substitute y so that we can solve for x. So which equation should we use? I'm going to use the equation that is the smallest here, so I'm going to put this 2 in for y right here. This is now 2, and we can multiply it to simplify. So what we get is 3x minus 6 times 2 equals 3. We can simplify this multiplication to a negative 12. And now inverse operation, so we're going to add 12, that's 0. 3x minus 0 is just 3x. These add up to 15. We can divide both sides by 3. Those go to 1. 1 times x is x equals 3 goes into 15 5 times. So our coordinate point here to close it out is a 5 and a 2. So a couple common mistakes before I cut you loose. 1, when you solve this original or initial variable, I see students take this 2 and think automatically I got to put it into x, or automatically I got to put it into y. Make sure you read what you just solved for, so that way you put it in the right variable. And the other thing is, x comes before y in the alphabet. If anybody wants to challenge me on that, I'm willing to go to bat. Good luck on the problem set.